and an average of around about 7%. And the VARENTBERG now coming at 229 kilometers into the stage, which means there are 25 miles still to go as André Schmil now does come to the front and really tries to stretch this group. They obviously want to contain what is the most serious attack so far, really. And Flanders knows if he can get clear, then he's going to have a big problem bringing him back. And Schmil coming right up to our motorbike here as he turns in a very good turn of speed at the front here to try and pin down this little group, but they are so tenacious today. Nobody seems to want to drop off, but Schmil's job has been well done because there's Maurizio Flanders coming back into the fold. He really is, as Robert Miller says, an immaculate bike rider, isn't he? Even when he's under pressure, it hardly looks as though it's really hurting him. Anyway, that's the thing to do. When you see your teammate caught, you go for it yourself, and Alexander Gonchenkov now has also decided to turn the screw. Sorry about this little bit of picture breakup. As usual, it's the microwave problems we're having reaching the signals up to the helicopter. Gonchenkov on the attack. Schmil somehow has found the strength to dig again as we go over the top of the VARENTBERG. And it looks as though Gonchenkov was happy with the prize at the top because he sat up immediately. As we go down a little bit now, and there's a split in the group, or is there? 7 or 8 riders obviously not too keen on breaking away. We all decide now is the time to take a drink and reassess the situation. 24 miles from the finish. Museo leading us down the hill, followed by Schmil, and the little graphic there said 3 hills to come and 2 stretches of Palme. Still lying ahead, and the big daddy of them all, the wall of Grammont, the Muur, that comes as the penultimate climb of the day. If you've got the strength, that's where you hammer home the advantage. Still an awful lot of riders left in the 80th Tour of Flanders Classic. Out on the start line at the start this morning in the Market Square at St. Nicholas, there were 185. It looks as though we've got some in the region of 20-25 riders at least are still in that group, and there's a little gaggle of riders trying to rejoin after that climb. There we are, confirmation, 36 miles to go. We're in the Belgian town, approaching the Belgian town of Brakel. And there's Taffy again, and Rolf Jerman watching Taffy. And this is Vasseur up behind him now from the GAN team. Cedric Vasseur. Still they can't find the combination which might get away from this group. Museo's tried, Flanders has tried, and now another attack from Vasseur. Cedric Vasseur is pushing it on. Looks like Ekimov, winner of the Tour of China at the end of last season. He's pushing it on, but they're not getting it away yet. And now again it's left to Max Chiandri, who has been very attentive since he was caught, has now tried again to go clear. So Chiandri quite clearly is not out of it yet, despite the fact he made that breakaway of some 23-24 kilometers. Gonchenkov, who rode so well in Milan-San Remo, is also paying attention. He's watching every move today. And they might have a little split going here. And the rider here is Gabriella Misaglia from the San Marco group. And that group, by the way, is managed now by Bruno Leali, who in his later years finally got the race lead for a day in the Giro d'Italia, and he also was the Italian champion. Just retired, now looking after the San Marco group team. Two, 4, 6, 8, 9 riders getting clear there. Johan Museo is in this group. Ekimov, Chiandri, Misaglia, Schmil. I think we've got Michele Bartoli down there as well. We've certainly got Gonchenkov. I've seen him. And the man with the flowing locks I caught a glimpse of is Laurent Brochard. He's in this breakaway as well for Festina. Now this is a combination that could work as we head towards the VOLKEGEMBERG. 53 meters above sea level, the VOLKEGEMBERG, and this is a climb which is coming at the 234-kilometer point of the race. Cedric Vasseur at the back of the group at the moment. Johan Museo just ahead of him. This is now a tasty little breakaway group here with all the teams represented. Andre Schmil for Lotto. Max Chandry for Motorola on the move again. And this is Laurent Brochard as we've got an attack up front by Gonchenkov for Roslotto. So this is a strong move now as we start the climb of the VOLKEGEMBERG. They come thick and fast and they're short, these climbs, but they really do hurt. Look at the face of Andre Schmil on the right here. And the cool face of Mr. Poker Player himself, Johan Museu. Max has chosen the right wheel to follow. Gonchenkov slips a little way back down the line. And it looks to me as though Peter van Petegem, but TVM has also realised that's a pretty good group and TVM haven't got a man in it. He's trying to get across. But again, the lack of cohesion, nobody wants to push on. It's probably because they don't like the thought of having Museo in the group at all. And Van Petegem here, I think, has slipped away from the front. Because Van Petegem went on the bottom of that climb. Our cameras stayed with this lead group and they're now bringing Van Petegem back. Gonchenkov is the man setting the pace. There's Brochard, Ekimov, Max Chandry, Cedric Vasseur. And there is the compilation of that breakaway group, as we've called it. The man missing is Peter van Petegem, but I think he's going to be with us very soon, if not behind. I make it 11 riders now have made this breakaway group here. And there is Beat Zeberg, also trying to get across. And this is the Carrera team rider. Claudio Chiappucci, the big favourite, by the way, with the crowd not riding in the Tour of Flanders today. So Beat Zeberg is the man who's got the team captaincy. The rider up front, in fact, is Peter van Petegem now. And if Beat Zeberg can get up there, then maybe they will contact the lead group, because in fact Peter van Petegem is behind the group. This is Cedric Vasseur at the tail of it. And a good combination now, because the Mappe have got the riders up here they want. So too is MG. Roslotto have gone Chenkov, and Rabobank have got Ekimov. Estina have got Brochard, Lotto have got Schmil, Motorola Chandry. The big teams. It doesn't leave a lot of chase power back in that field there now to pull them back, and Museo may have read this right. The only thing that could cause the stumble is the fact that the riders in this breakaway will not really want to carry Museo to the finish. There's 10 riders down there. Second round the bend, Max Chandry, his second big breakaway move of the day. He is racing very, very well at this time of the year. He's riding superbly, and here comes the arrival of Beat Zeberg. So we've now got 11 men up front. Sitting at the back, Peter van Petegem, who bridged the gap as well. That was a good ride by Peter. And Max is the end of the original breakaway here, for the moment at least. Now he isn't, because back comes Andre Schmil. Brochard takes out his final bit of fuel for the day. And there's the complete compilation now of the breakaway, and it's good. And amazingly, only 2 Italians in the breakaway. The country must be cracking. I doubt it. The Tour of Flanders has never been a kind race for the Italians over the years, but over the past couple of years, of course, with the Italians taking on such a grip on world cycling, Tour of Flanders, like any other race, has had more than its fair share of success for them. Gianni Bugno winning here. André Tappi in the centre of that group there. This is quite a nice little chase group, but I don't think it's going to get on terms now unless it really has to work hard. And Mario Sciria from the Saeco team is up here in the chase as well. And that's Franco Ballerini. So this is a pretty powerful second group that's forming behind. But Ballerini isn't going to chase down his teammate, that's for sure. Edwig van Hooijdonk, number 73. Well, he's the man that they used to call the boss of the Bosberg. He's not only won the Tour of Flanders twice, but he's also won the amateur Tour of Flanders before he turned pro as well. Seems to have refound himself a little bit this year, Edwig. He was a big talking point when he did turn pro because his first shot at Paris-Roubaix he finished 5th. Now, is that group making any progress or not? Little Gabriella Misaglia seems to be having a little bit of trouble hanging on to the tail of the group here. Konchenkov under control. What a good rider he's turning out to be now. Really seems to be coming into full bloom. He's looking for his first win of the year, but he's had second on the overall in Tirreno Adriatico and second in Milan San Remo. So the win can't be far away. And again, he's been in the thick of the action all day today. And this is a pretty good group now that's come together at the front. Still the Mur de Grammont to come, the climb of the wall. Steep and very cobbled toward the top. And this main field behind now really has lost a lot of its impetus because there is nobody really to organize the chase. The combination of this breakaway has fallen almost into perfection now. It's exactly what the riders wanted. They'll be a bit unhappy to find Museo in it. But even so, there's still only a 10-second gap here. Van Hooijdonk a little bit slow to respond, gritting his teeth. But respond he does as he gets nicely up to the back wheel of Mario Sciria. And the pace being set here in this chase group by one of the Poultry riders. And it looks as though it was Gianluca Pianagonda, who's been very, very active. And like Chandri, seems to have survived well his brief escape and still has some strength left. And you can see in the gaps the way that back bunch reforms all the time. They still haven't organized themselves, but they're still very much in this race. This is the lead group. Still 11 men. Cedric Vasseur for Gans, Shanley for Motorola, Ekimov for the Rabobanks. There's Laurent Brochon on the front now for Festina. Konchenkov again dancing on the pedals. Andre Schmil, the big danger here. Peter van Petergem riding for TVM, just peeping into the right of our camera there. There he is. And here comes a move by Andre Schmil now, the acceleration from the little Russian rider. And it's clear then that Johan Museo fears Schmil because he's immediately on him. Straight away on him. The rider there, Gabriella Masaglia, is the little Italian who's butting in to the big duo there. There he goes. Peter van Petergem beat Zeeberg. And there's Konchenkov, his colours of the Roslotto team, always standing out. Brochard behind him. And Cedric Vasseur, the Frenchman, sitting at the back of the group. As we twist and turn our way around the villages here, the riders continue to just hang on to a very tenuous lead. And again, another new Italian name on the block. We see him here, Masaglia. Little Brochard is feeling maybe a touch of cramp coming on here. It's getting around to be in the cramp zone now as we head down towards the finish with just 2 climbs to come. A little bit of a respite and a long ride towards Gerardsbergen, which is where the Mur de Grammont sits in the town there. And you see that group behind, surprisingly, is refusing to desist, and they are closing in. There could still be a big bunch by the time we get to the Mur. Nine kilometers we've got still to race to the Mur. in that chase group, the white jersey of the World Cup leader, the winner of Milan-San Remo. He's still in the race, Gabriele Colombo. We haven't seen hardly a thing of him, but he is in that second group. And there's a real chance now he could still score points here if he can catch up and go with the final move, which is certain to come on the Mieux de Grammont or the Bosberg. Museo has been at the front all day monitoring the first. He's ridden a good race. Now has he ridden one good enough? Coming alongside the Berg. Miles, well, kilometers, 25 or about 15.25 miles to go to the finish. Michele Bartoli, number 12 there. Fifth in the line. Max Chandry, Peter van Petegem, and the new boy on the block for the Italians today, Bisaglia. Well, we've now renamed our second group, the group for Colombo. Tribute to our new World Cup holder, leader rather, not holder yet. That's the honour of Johan Museo in the front group. Taking the World Cup finally last season after 2 second places. Always said he's not been a man to aim for the World Cup, and yet he's always finished in the top 3. Riders trying to bridge the gap here. And this looks like the return of, well, apart from the fact that we've got Fondres coming up, it looks as though we've got Aldag and Olaf Ludwig trying to get away. There's Baldato, second last year. Some tremendous firepower still in this group here. Pianagonda, Carlo Bowmans, and that's Erik Zabel, the sprinter. So it was Zabel who was with Olaf Ludwig, I think. There is Colombo going through. The man who found victory at the first attempt of Milan-San Remo. The World Cup leader, and now finding himself possibly in with a shout at some points again here in round number 2 in Belgium. Looking ahead of the riders there, you can see the tail of the following cars behind those 11 front runners. We're not looking at much more than about 25 seconds, I would think. But it's being left completely here to Telekom because they haven't got a man in the breakaway, and if they can present Zabel with the finish, then he's a very likely sprint winner. Rolf Aldag was setting the pace. So Telekom, the big losers so far of the breakaway, as we now move up to the leaders as Schmil starts to continue the pace, followed by Brochard Ekimov. Superb Russian rider who held at one stage, I think it was 11 world records on the track. Cedric Vasseur, Nicola Bartoli. Always seems to enjoy his racing in Belgium. Bartoli's had so much success here, winner of the Grand Prix Pinot Cerami as well in years gone by. Peter van Petegem. Nice mixture of nationalities. Max Chandry, the Italian with an English license who races on an American team. And somebody's pulled them out at the left of the road there. And it looks as though, in fact, Colombo is in a little bit of trouble here. This is an attack from the second group, and trying to go with it is the Telekom team. They've caught Colombo struggling a bit. Different type of race, of course, to Milan-San Remo, but he's bridged the gap just that little bit. Andrea Taffy is alongside him, but they're not teammates. Number 107 here is Erik Zabel, the sprinter who won at Charleroi in the Tour de France last year. And no doubt will hope he lands 1 or 2 stages again this time out. The sort of road which is not conducive to this breakaway now because they can see them, and this is where they're going to try and scrabble across quickly before we do arrive in Geraardsbergen. And Petegem sitting at the back behind Johan Museo. Somebody's attempted an attack off the front. It wouldn't surprise me if it's not Andre Schmil. He's the sort of man that goes for these breakaways, and he seems to be missing from the line. Max Chandry is after him though. It is Schmil, that little dashing figure on the right of the road, has tried to get away here. He saved it for one big effort, but they're chasing him down, and it looks as though Museo in the end is going to have to close it down himself. But that counter-attack at that point, I think, was required to lift the impetus of this breakaway because they're in big danger of being picked up. And that looks as though it might be Nicola Bartoli who's just gone off the front now. Good time to put in the counter move when they've brought back one. And Museo was the man that finished off the breakaway of Schmil. He's not going to be too keen to go again just yet, and it's Bartoli who's gone this time. Now, there's no organisation. This breakaway was so afraid it was going to get caught. This is what's caused the panic. Museo has found his legs now. Shandy looks over, a little bit of help. He'd like Ekimov to come through. Ekimov does. In fact, Bartoli is here in this group, so we'll find out who's gone in a minute. But that's Bartoli now behind Ekimov. And the group more or less coming back together again, so I think Bartoli was cleared. He was wiped out there. Now Cedric Vasseur has gone. So Cedric Vasseur goes clear. And I've been trying to find out if he's related to the famous big professional Alain Vasseur. I even asked the manager of the team, Roger Leger, and he didn't know. I thought he might have known because he did employ Cedric, but he laughed about it. But he couldn't give me the answer, so if anybody knows, send me a little letter as Cedric Vasseur starts the attack. There's some great racing going on amongst this group, and surely it's pulling them away from that chase group now, but I'm not so sure it is. And Vasseur, you can see his lead. He's got a very good lead now, and this is an interesting move for Gann to try and get a breakaway going here. As the Gann rider goes off up the road, and now we're looking back down the road here at the breakaway. A little bit disorganized, could do with a bit more help, I think. Yekimov is the sort of man who might take it up in the orange jersey there, because he likes to go for the long ones as well. He doesn't carry the punch of somebody like Museo when it comes down to the finish. 20 kilometers left to go and still 2 climbs to come. Cedric Vasseur out on the attack. We've only had one French winner in years of this race, and that was after that long breakaway, you might recall, in 1992 by Jackie Durand, who won ahead of Thomas Wegmuller and then Edwig van Hooijdonk. I think that was the first win since Forestier in 1956. Jean Forestier. French don't win this race very often, and so maybe that's why they're not chasing down Vasseur immediately. He's not a big winner by any manner of means, but neither was Jackie Durand when he won. And he's got a nice gap, and they're going to leave it to somebody else as usual to do the chasing, because he took his chance after a big flurry of attacks, and that means the rider's getting a little bit tired. He hit them hard at the right time, and he's got the gap, and he's looking pretty good. Well, this is a fine performance by Vasseur. There he is, ranked 245 at the start of the season. Just a little bit of a check to see how the break is going. Well, the gap is there. It's a measurable gap now, and if he keeps this up, he'll soon have the following team vehicles. Have a look down, and you see the gap is a good one now. There they are, tucked in on the right of the road as we look at them. All 10 that are left here. Rochard. 14 seconds they're saying to the Museo group, which is this group here, which is continually splitting up. Gonchenkov marshalling affairs, 4th in line. A superb pursuing figure of Vyacheslav Yekimov. Usually wins a stage of the Tour de France, and when he does, he usually breaks away about a kilometre out and rides everybody off his wheel. But as you get older, of course, you lose that pure speed, and I think Vyacheslav is beginning to lose that pure speed now. Museo just sitting around the back, and Peter van Petegem knows all about Johan Museu. Bitseberg, Ekimov, and the surprise move by the Italian Misaglia. Schmil goes down the line. There's still plenty of riders working pretty hard in this group. 17 seconds though now. Michele Bartoli comes off the front. Max Chandry goes on the front, digs in deep. See, that line is not fluid. There's one or two going through and others don't want to. Max drops down on the inside. They've got themselves a better group here now. 6 riders seem to be willing to work. Rochard, Peter van Petegem. I don't think Peter van Petegem trusts Johan Museeuw. He's keeping an eye on him all of the time. We're 45 seconds out now to what is really the main field. That's not very much at all. And 17 seconds is the lead of Vasseur. So they've more or less locked onto him. And he's hovering out front. And we're not very far now from starting our climb in Geraardsbergen. Turning off what appears to be a highway. We now head up towards the town and the Muur de Grammont. And then we'll see just who is strong and left in this breakaway. Because this is where it's going to happen. We're heading up towards the start of the wall now. And there it is. 5 stars for the Muur. You'll see why any second now. 20%. Or 1 in 5, and it climbs up to 92 meters. So it's not the height we worry about. No oxygen required from that, but it might be required for the effort because it gets very hard before the top. And it's a Frenchman of all people in the Tour de Flanders who gets us there first in Cedric Vasseur. Hats off to him. Now, if he can still be in the lead over the top of this climb, he can start to think he might be winning the Tour de Flanders. They know it behind as well, and Museeuw certainly knows it. Museeuw is still at the back. Whether he wants to stay there, we get onto a narrow cobbled road here. The following cars, by the way, are banned from climbing up this road. They have to go round because they can't take the risk of the cars stopping on the climb and not restarting, therefore blocking the whole of the Tour of Flanders. So they're sent around, and the riders are sent up it. Well, the little fellow there at the from the San Marco group, Misaglia, he looks as though he might be a climber. Whether he's seen a climb like this before, I have to say I don't know. There he is. What a tiny bicycle frame he rides. Schmil gets a good look at the climb first. Chandry in an excellent place here too. The crouching figure of Yekimov. Up comes the man who set the trend today, Vasseur. Belgian crowd applauding him and cheering him as he heads up towards the tough section. This is the easy bit. Now, bang, onto the tough section. And there's the group just behind him. As we wind our way towards the top of the climb, you can just watch his legs here as they gradually slow down as the cobbles begin to bite. As Cedric Vasseur heads off towards the summit, André Schmil leads onto the climb. And still no attack coming from Johan Museeuw, which is where I really did think he was sitting at the back to launch an attack right here, but nothing apparent. Schmil sets the place on the climb with Bartoli. Behind him is Gonchenkov, Brochard. And they've ridden all the way up here towards the back wheel of Vasseur. That's the difference the hill makes. They'll turn left, they'll see the climb continue. Just a little bit, but over the top here, and you know, they've caught Vasseur. Now they kick again. This is Michele Bartoli who's gone. I expected Museeuw, but Bartoli's gone. I don't see Museeuw, in fact. I think Museeuw has been shed at the back of that group, and Bartoli has gone. Schmil had no answer to that at all, neither has Brochard. Vasseur is now in trouble and just wishes the climb would end. Ekimov and Chandry go by him, and we haven't seen Johan Museeuw, and he is going to come up that climb, I think, last of the leaders. So obviously something has happened there. Johan Museeuw is either in trouble with his legs or he has a flat tire. We'll find out, I hope, as the race goes on, but he's not there. And this is a great ride now by Michele Bartoli. Brochard and Schmil go over in second and third, followed by Gonchenkov over the top of the Muur de Grammont. Still the Bosberg to come, of course, climb number 16, and still looking for the figure of Johan Museeuw. Well, whatever happened awfully quickly. There goes the little non-climb, as it turns out, from the San Marco group, and Misaglia. And there's Museeuw, his hand is up. It looks as though he may well have a flat tire, and the way he's indicating it's his back one. And the group is right on him. So the group is right on to Johan Museeuw. So that's really bad luck. It's come at the most crucial stage of the race when I think Johan Museeuw would have been planning the attack. Instead, it was an Italian who planned the move, and he has gone. Michele Bartoli has moved clear of the field here. He's leaving himself an awful long way to ride. He's left with a chasing group. He's lying in the UCI rankings 10th at the moment. That's because of his consistency in the World Cup races last year. Now, behind him, we know we've got Gonchenkov, Shandry, Schmil, Broshaw. I think Vasseur is still there. And Vyacheslav Yekimov is the other rider. We'll no doubt switch back to them very shortly, but now we're watching the possibility of yet another Italian World Cup win here. And this is Johan Museo riding alone. I don't know whether he's had a wheel change or what, but he's looked over his shoulder and sees the winner of Milan-San Remo go by him. Baldato is here as well. And Fabiano Fontanelli, who's having a great season, is also here. And so he's got a good workmanlike group. Now, I think he sorted out the problem. He doesn't seem to... It seems to me he might have another bike here because he's adjusting the brake at the back. It doesn't look like his normal position, so he could well have changed the bike. Looking around, no, because number 1 is on the frame, so he hasn't changed his bike, but he's certainly done something to it, and he's now going to try and get back into the action. Well, it is still just about possible, because the breakaway is not that far ahead. And Fabio Baldato, he was second a year ago. He's not going to want to take Museo back up there, because this man is his teammate. And Michele Bartoli is now clear, albeit by a few seconds, but still the climb of the Bosberg to come. If he can get over the Bosberg, he can then go for gold. 10th in the overall UCI rankings, his best ever position at the start of this year. And that's become possible because of his fine riding last season. Only 2 wins indeed, but he started off with a 5th place in Milan-San Remo, finished 7th in this event, the Tour de Flanders, went on to stay in Belgium and notch a 3rd place in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Came over to Britain, something of a flop there. He only managed 53rd in the Leeds Classic, the World Counter on British soil. Then he rode and finished 9th in the Tour of Spain and ended the season on a high note with 3rd in the Tour of Lombardy. So he's got the quality. He seems to enjoy racing and winning in Belgium, and now he's gone. And they're going to have to do something about it. The composition of that chase group is Shandry, Gonchenkov, Schmil, Broshaw, Vasseur and Ekimov. They are the 6 riders now, and remember, not very far behind indeed is a big chase back now currently going on, and Museo is part of it. His race in the last couple of kilometres has been turned upside down. Gonchenkov comes through and off, followed by Yekimov. Oh, in fact, it's Gonchenkov coming through now. And on his wheel, we have Max Shandry. Max Shandry's had a very strong race today. But again, it looks as though a man has slipped away and maybe stolen the victory that Max felt was his because he's such a good rider in a small group. Max seems to be the strong man. They're trying to limit the losses without really putting the backs into the chase at the moment. Gonchenkov and Schmil are about to come through. The gap is only 7 seconds. They're holding it. And we're now heading on towards the Bosberg, the last climb of the 1996 Tour of Flanders, the 80th edition of this great race. And we're on to the Bosberg. Short and steep again. And an attack by Laurent Brochard. Brochard wants to see the Bosberg first. That's the sort of reaction you expect to see and hope to see, because that might close the gap. Everybody looking at one another. That's not going to help at all. Vasseur sitting at the back. I think he's tired. This is the Bosberg. This is the leader. Michele Bartoli dancing over the cobblestones now, heading for the summit. He knows that once over the top of this little lot, he can go for gold. Riding a bicycle, a Fausto copy machine, the most famous Italian cyclist who ever lived. And now his bike looks as though it could be winning a stage, and stage could be winning this particular Tour of Flanders Classic. Laurent Brochard trying to hold off the field and trying to just snip into 2nd place. Festina would love that. And there's the big crowd we can see on the Bosberg. Very orderly Belgian crowd it is too. Here comes the leader heading up towards the summit. Brochard is trying to get on terms and is closing. Look at this. He looks a little bit closer than it is because of the angle of the cameras and the hill, but it's still only 5 or 6 seconds, and the Brochard is the carrot here to the counter-reaction from the group, because Ekimov has almost got him, and Schmil, then Gonchenkov, then Max Shandry, and dangling and hoping is Cedric Vasseur at the back. And what's happened here? Well, this is now a bicycle change for Museo, so whatever was wrong with that bike has now finally been sorted out. We're on the Bosberg as well, so in fact Johan Museo must be very close to contacting that lead group. Well, I don't feel that was a second mechanical problem. I think he may have just hung on to whatever the original problem was, and now he's back in the action. And it looked to me as though he was rather close to that Belgian television motorbike, but maybe the angle of the cameras were a bit deceptive. Back with the leader, still trying to chase down the leader. Over the top now. They know now it's all, give all and hope, because there's nothing else to stop the winner if you don't go out and get him. There's no more climbs, there's no more cobblestones. There is a minute rise up to the finishing line, but once you turn right and you see that climb, you also see the finish banner, and then the surge of adrenaline will be all you'll need. Konchenkov had a magnificent day out, fully deserved, because second in Milan-San Remo, now proving to us all that was no stroke of luck. André Schmil, second for the past 2 years in the Tour of Flanders. Let's have a look down the road. Long, straight concrete road. That's can be the drawback of the Tour of Flanders, because the run-in, they can see you if you've only just nipped away from the lead group. They're going to see these motorbikes, and they're going to see the yellow lead car, the sponsoring newspaper. But Michele Bartoli, who has probably had as many victories as most Italians can ever anticipate on Belgian roads. I know there's been a lot of success for some of this. Eddie Merckx in the passenger seat there of the car watching the race. The great Eddie Merckx, of course, who won this race in 1975, and previously to that he won it in 1969. And we are 10 kilometres from the finish. Bartoli settling in now to what he hopes will be a time trial to victory at last. After all of those places, a World Cup, a victory is a real possibility. That is previous best, 7th last year as I told you earlier, 41st the year before. Continues his progression. The ultimate could be coming his way right now. He's certainly got plenty of fight in those legs at this minute in time, and there's only 6 riders behind him. We hear that Museo is closing in, but our cameras aren't showing us the pictures. Ekimov, Schmil, Brochard, Chandry, Konchenkov are the group behind. A little glimpse at the old speedometer there, around about 55 kilometers an hour. That's just over 30. There's the chase group. And gone from it now is Cedric Vasseur, so he was dropped on the Bosberg. As our camera goes searching, the gap has opened enormously, and surely now Bartoli has taken this victory. Even in as far back as 90, he only turned pro in 1992, by the way, but in 1993 he showed us just how much respect he had for the Belgian roads when he finished 7th in the Flèche Wallonne, 8th in Ghent-Wevelgem. Then he came back in 1994 and he won the Flèche Brabançon. So he really does enjoy the Belgian roads, which is most unusual for an Italian. They hate the roads, they hate the food, and they usually hate the weather, because they just love everything about Italy. Ekimov, just digging that little bit deeper. What a classy bike rider he is. And André Schmil sitting nicely behind him, looking very comfortable. Same must be said too of Max Chandry. And Schmil gritting his teeth and accelerating. Chandry concentrating and just keeping his wheel and not afraid to do his share of the work, and Max never is. But I'm afraid this breakaway is going to feel a little bit discouraged now. There's our man up the road, and with the tricks of the technical whiz of Camry, we can keep our eye on him, but the riders can't, because he's out of their sight now. Completely out of their sight as we're counting down the run into the finish. 5 miles to go, inside 5 miles to go. At this sort of speed, we're looking at about 12 minutes maybe. 12 minutes separating Bartoli from his first ever World Cup win. No more news on the Museo group as to their exact location. but the reports are that they are closing in on these 5 riders, although we can't see even from our helicopter. And let's have a look. There we go, the long empty road. Michele Bartoli has made this everything or nothing today. He just went, consolidated on the Bosberg, and has flown over the top. Well known to all the Belgian spectators. Those long empty roads of a rather late spring in Belgium here. The start of the spring classics, of course, really, because coming up Ghent-Wevelgem, and also there's Eddy Merckx there sitting very passive, the same face he always had when he was racing and winning, and Paris-Roubaix. And by the way, while we're here in Belgium, we have with us a small group of Americans who are enjoying a full week touring around these classic venues with World Cycling Productions, and we thought you might like to see at the end of this program a little video on how they all enjoyed themselves, so I hope you enjoy it as well. Shanley looks over his shoulder. This little group here, I think, feeling somewhat dejected now. Bartoli hit them at the right moment. Laurent Brochard, Gonchenkov. These are the men on form, though, the men who will go on to the other classics, and probably similar names we can expect to see. The Rabobank, a new team, has had their best start under Jan Raas, who's had a variety of teams that have not made a great start to the years gone by, but this year they have. Flowing next of Brochard. Then comes Gonchenkov. There isn't a man not doing his fair share in this breakaway now, except the rider just coming into the picture on the right. I'm trying to get a glimpse of him, but I think somebody's come up to the group. There's Gonchenkov. I think the rider who has made the group, it looks like it might be the Carrera rider, PATERSBERG. I don't think Vasseur has got back, but we'll check it out. The road has opened up, and although they appear to be working very well together, I think in fact they're going slower than the race leader now. And this rider only has to keep his composure and go for gold, and he's got the victory. And that will come in Ninove, in the village of Meerbeke. And in fact, if you were driving from the start of St. Nicholas back to Meerbeke, well, it's only about an hour by car across country to see the start and then rush on to see the finish. But of course you can also pop out into the hills and see the riders down there as well. So Michele Bartoli now trying to give Italy win number 2 in the World Cup. Colombo, though, has not got up to this group yet, and it was PATERSBERG who came on, so that was a fine piece of riding. He's replaced Vasseur in this breakaway, the Swiss rider. And this is the leader again now, and the gap has gone up. It's enormous. 52 seconds, and we're calling it the group Schmill because Museo is still trying to get back on terms, and he hasn't done so yet, and time is running out. And this rider has never hesitated at all as we go under the 4 kilometres to go banner. So he's just over 2.5 miles from the finish with a lead of almost a minute. I don't think anybody's going to bridge it now to Michele Bartoli. He's going to convert all of his places into a World Cup victory at last. And he keeps his composure and his rhythm. He must be feeling pretty good inside, though. He timed his attack so well as he jumped just before the Bosberg and then went clear. And the car coming up here is that driven by Giancarlo Ferretti, the manager of the MG Technogym team. And he's going to feel a pretty happy man here as he plays dodgems to try and get up to his man at the front. At the moment, I think Eddy Merckx is talking to him. But he's making his way up, and this will be just for talk only and to cheer him on as we approach the last 3 kilometres to go. Ferretti alongside him. This man who has coached so many good cyclists, and look at the smile on his face now. Out comes all the information. You're 57 seconds ahead of Schmill's group. You've got it in the bag. Just keep it going. All that will be coming at him now. And just ride to the victory. And now he's on his way, clearly on the road again. In Italy, we've seen the Gay Wish team at win in Milan-San Remo. Now the MG team are going to take victory here, but not with Baldato, the man we might have expected to be in at the kill because he was second a year ago, but with Michele Bartoli. He's just ridden with his hands on the centre of those bars, almost relaxed, and almost his wrists were resting on the handlebars there. And here's the car, driven by Eddy Merckx, who still maintains a high degree of interest in the sport, to say the least, and his son, of course, a professional this year, riding with Team Motorola. And this now is the group behind, and you know, this is a much, much bigger group. In fact, Museo is here. Look at the length of this group. Museo has come back, and I don't know how many riders he's brought back with him, but this is now a major group again. So those 6 chasers have thrown their chance away. Max Chandry included now, because there are an awful lot of riders here for company. And Museo has somehow got back. There's Zabel, who was in the original 6, but now has a lot of company, Gonchenkov. So Michele Bartoli is still ahead of the field, but there is a big race on now for second place. Well, that's an extraordinary piece of riding by Johan Museo. We're 1.5 kilometres from the finish here now for Bartoli. So we're just over 2 kilometres for the Museo group. But he came back literally from the dead there to rejoin that group. It would have been a chase I think we'd have all liked to have seen, but unfortunately Belgian television didn't show us a single picture of that chase back. But Museo has done it as we now follow the leader in towards the finish. He's down the main street, there's a sharp right at the far end of it, and then it's up the hill to the line. And there's nobody going to touch him now. He's half a mile from the finish, or a kilometre if you like. He's receiving the applause of the crowd all the way along the streets here in Mierbeke. And we're going to see an Italian victory, which will be the first one since Gianni Bugno. And Michele Bartoli is going to add his name to not too many Italians to win this great event. There's the group, and just look how big it is now. That group has really swelled up as the riders are coming in for the sprint for second place. And the last look over his shoulder. Now he'll see the finish very, very shortly up the rise as he turns for home. And Bartoli is going to enjoy this. The MG Technogym team are going to clean up again. Well, I say again, they're only second last year. But now they've gone one better. Merckx in the car behind follows in home. He knows exactly how he feels. And he's going to drive all the way to the line here before he relaxes at 100 metres to go. Then comes a salute to Michele Bartoli. Takes World Cup round 2, this time the Tour of Flanders for Italy. And the MG Technogym rider, an average speed of just over 25.5 miles an hour for the race. Now the big sprint, and right in the thick of this big sprint now is Johan Museo again. He's trying to get a good lead out here. André Schmil is right there as well. And so too on the far right is EIKENBERG, but he really isn't the big sprinter, EIKENBERG. Schmil might be though. Baldato's coming on the left. This is going to be a very tight, it could be a 1-2. It's Baldato in the centre. 1-2 for MG. Museo, I don't think, has got it. On the line, Fabio Baldato, Johan Museo, and then came EIKENBERG. So it wasn't a bad sprint by the Russian. He got 4th. And Fabiano Fontanelli, I think, was up there in 5th place. But there is the rider who did so much and in the end didn't get the reward he would have deserved. Max Chandry.
Max, that was a tough race, and it looked as if it was going to be in the bag there until Bartoli jumped away on the Mur de Grammont.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame more there in the front, and I nearly fell in the sprint, so probably didn't get me in the 10th place. So
It was a hard race, but Johan Museo had a lot of bad luck too. Were you surprised when he came back?
Yeah, you know, I just don't like the way they race. Just riding in the front all day. I mean, that's not riding, you know, that's not just... Didn't have no tactics to the race, just riding in the front, his teammates, and that was about it.
What about next week, Paris-Roubaix?
Another week, we'll see.
We certainly will, Max. We wish you all the best because the work rate has been quite tremendous. Max finishing, in fact, in 16th place. This is what happens when you win the race because people make a big fuss of you. And Michele Bartoli is really going to enjoy the next few minutes of the Tour of Flanders because now the hard work is over. And the pleasurable bit, the congratulations coming first from Giancarlo Ferretti, the MG Director Sportif. And the Italians always know how to say, well done. And of course the team getting first and second. And this here, the victory as he reaches for the sky because this is one of the best classic races to win. Michele Bartoli taking the flag in solitude, which is always the best way to win a bike race anyway. Is there any stopping the Italians? Well, that's what the whole world of cycling, I think, is asking these days. They all seem to be riding so very, very well. A look at the final result. Michele Bartoli winning from his teammate Baldato, then Museo, Ekimov, Schmil, Jesper Skibby getting good 6th, Laurent Brochard taking 7th, and Rolf Sorensen, despite his puncture, he got 10th place on the day. And so now we have yet another Italian name to conjure with, that of Michele Bartoli. And the MG Technogym rider, an average speed of just over 25.5 miles an hour for the race. Now the big sprint, and right in the thick of this big sprint now is Johan Museo again. He's trying to get a good lead out here. Andre Schmil is right there as well. And so too on the far right is Ekimov, but he really isn't the big sprinter, Ekimov. Schmil might be though. Baldato's coming on the left. This is going to be a very tight, it could be a 1-2. It's Baldato in the centre. 1-2 for MG. Museo, I don't think has got it. On the line, Fabio Baldato, Johan Museo, and then came Ekimov. So it wasn't a bad sprint by the Russian. He got 4th. And Fabiano Fontanelli, I think, was up there in 5th place. But there is the rider who did so much and in the end didn't get the reward he would have deserved. Max Chandry.
Max, it was a tough race, and it looked as if it was going to be in the bag there until Bartoli jumped away on the Mur de Grammont.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame all day in the front, and I nearly fell in the sprint, so probably didn't get me in the 10th place. So.
But a hard race, but Johan Museo had a lot of bad luck too. Were you surprised when he came back?
Yeah, you know, I just don't like the way they race. Just riding in the front all day. I mean, that's not riding, you know, that's not just... Didn't have no tactics to the race, just riding in the front, his teammates, and that was about it.
What about next week, Paris-Roubaix?
Another week, we'll see.
We certainly will, Max. We wish you all the best because the work rate has been quite tremendous. Max finishing, in fact, in 16th place. This is what happens when you win the race because people make a big fuss of you. And Michele Bartoli is really going to enjoy the next few minutes of the Tour of Flanders because now the hard work is over. And the pleasurable bit, the congratulations coming first from Giancarlo Ferretti, the MG Director Sportif. And the Italians always know how to say, well done. And of course the team getting first and second. And this here, the victory as he reaches for the sky because this is one of the best classic races to win. Michele Bartoli taking the flag in solitude, which is always the best way to win a bike race anyway. Is there any stopping the Italians? Well, that's what the whole world of cycling, I think, is asking these days. They all seem to be riding so very, very well. A look at the final result. Michele Bartoli winning from his teammate Baldato, then Museo, Ekimov, Schmil, Jesper Skibby getting good 6th, Laurent Brochard taking 7th, and Rolf Sorensen, despite his puncture, he got 10th place on the day. And so now we have yet another Italian name to conjure with, that of Michele Bartoli.